Jesus did not teach that divorce was a sin. In fact, his teaching in Matthew is him being a radical advocate for women's rights, if you understand the context. Hi, I'm Jeremy. I'm a deep skeptic, also a pastor. Okay, so you need to understand the context in which Jesus is teaching these things. And if you notice in Matthew chapter 5 and in Matthew chapter 19, the question or what Jesus is saying is when a man divorces his wife, because that's basically the only thing that could happen. And the way it happened was a man just wrote out, "I divorce you," basically, and handed that to his wife. And when that happened, she basically became destitute. It put her in a situation that was untenable, unsustainable. She couldn't provide for herself. And the justification could be basically anything. There were multiple schools of thought on this at the time, but one of them was that basically if a man was displeased with his wife, he could just write her this certificate and he was done and she was destitute. And I'm just gonna let you guess which school of thought the men would say they aligned with in order to do this. This put women's lives in jeopardy. It gave them basically no rights and no protection. And so what Jesus does is he puts a very narrow set of circumstances that would make it in any way okay for a man to do that. And that is a huge deal because in that culture, the men had all the power and they were using it to control the lives and the bodies of women. I'm not sure if that sounds familiar at all, but what Jesus does here is he is radically on the side of women's rights, and he is pushing against the powerful to give them more rights and more protection. And yes, it was technically possible for a woman to initiate a divorce, but the requirement was basically at the level of he wasn't feeding her, and she couldn't write the certificate herself. She had to go to men in power and have them write it on her behalf. And I'll let you guess how often that actually happened. So you can't take this Bible verse literally and then apply it one for one to our modern context. If you want to apply it to our modern context, what it's saying is that everyone needs to be pushing back against any man who is using his power to eliminate the rights of women and to control their bodies or to take control of their bodies away from them.